Lesson 11:10, Angle, Angle, Triangle Similarity. In this lesson, we're going to learn about extending our knowledge of triangles and their angle measures to determine whether two triangles are similar. To summarize this lesson, we can determine whether or not two triangles are similar by comparing their angle measures. Take a look at the general statement here with example 1. If two angles of a triangle are congruent or equal to corresponding angles of another triangle, then the triangles are similar. This is called the angle-angle criterion. So really what you're doing to compare triangles is trying to determine if their angle measures are indeed the same. So let's look down at the try it and work through this one together. Is triangle XYZ similar to triangle LMN? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to make a determination of the measure of angle X and the measure of angle N to determine if these triangles are indeed similar. What I notice right away is that they both have a 92-degree angle. What I also know is that the sum of the measures of each of those triangles must be 180. So I can use that relationship of X plus 92 plus 42 equals 180 to determine what that third angle needs to be. Try that for both triangles XYZ and for triangles LMN. In solving for X, you should find that it equals 46 degrees. In solving for the measure of angle N, you should find that it equals 35 degrees. In comparing those two triangles, they only have one angle in common. That would be angles Y and M are the same measure, which means these triangles are not similar because the angle-angle criterion is not met. Now let's take a look at example 2. Are the triangles similar? Explain. In part A, you have triangle ABC and triangle MNP. They are only similar if their corresponding angles are equal. And you can already see in the picture that angles A and M are both 70 degrees and angles C and P are both 50 degrees. And if that's the case, then it does mean that the angle-angle criterion is met. So these angles are similar. Now let's look at B. You have a 42-degree angle for X, and an angle Y is 85 degrees, which means the measure of angle Z has to be 53. In looking at the second triangle, RST, the measure of angle R is 45, while the measure of angle T is 85. The measure of angle S then must be 50 degrees. These triangles are not similar because they only have one angle measure in common. In order to meet angle-angle criterion, it must be that two of those angles are equal. Now let's move on to some practice questions. The key concept emphasizes the angle-angle criterion. So what this states is that if two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles in another triangle, the triangles are similar. So now I want you to try number 4. Are those two triangles similar? Explain why or why not. And in this case, the two triangles are indeed similar. They have at least two angles congruent to each other. Now let's try just 2 more questions together before you get to work. Skip over to questions 13 and 14. Which of the following are correct? Select all that apply. So taking a look at those 3 triangles, see if you can determine which triangles are indeed similar. Your first step should always be to identify the missing angles in each of those triangles. And what you might notice is that all three triangles have a 104-degree angle, a 31-degree angle, and a 45-degree angle, which means the three triangles are indeed all similar. But not all of these options are correct. What we need to do is when we compare those triangles, we need to match up the angles that are the same. So in other words, when I talk about a triangle GHI, the G is the 104-degree angle, which means that must match up with the match on the other two triangles, which would be angle S or angle X. So in looking at how the triangles are labeled, triangle GHI must be similar to triangle SQR. Now, I see SRQ here. Why aren't those going to line up? Because H and R are not the same size. So this one doesn't work at the bottom. Let's look at some other options. Remember, match up the letters. So for example, if I'm looking at the letters to match, H is 45, which should match with Q and should match with Y. And likewise, I is 31 degrees, and so is R and Z. So look at for the triangles as they're named for those letters to be in the same position. Come back and check to see if you marked the correct angles. I tried to color coordinate these angle measures on the triangles to help with naming them. So triangle XYZ is similar to a triangle SQR, and if you look at the colors, how they coordinate, X is black, Y is in red, Z is in blue. S is in black, Q is in red, and R is just like Z, and it's in blue. So I did the same thing for triangle XYZ is similar to triangle GHI, and I did it also with triangle GIH is similar to SRQ. They follow a black, blue, red combination. Now take a look at number 14. Number 14 is a little bit more straightforward. See if you can find the missing angle in each triangle and then make a comparative statement telling whether or not those two triangles are indeed similar. Is it true that triangle GHI is similar to triangle QRS? Well, again, look at how I colored them to try and help you out with that. Okay, so if you look at GHI, it goes black, red, blue, and QRS goes black, red, blue. So those two triangles are indeed similar. Now it's time for you to try some questions on your own.